Katie Brooks stood at the entrance of the Galactic Academy and felt her stomach twist with nerves. The massive station called Epsilon 7 stretched out before her, bigger than any city on Earth. Ships from 100 different worlds docked at its ports. Beings she had only seen in videos walked past her without a second glance. She was one of 3 humans accepted this year. Out of thousands who applied, only 3 made it through. Katie should have felt proud, but the stares from the alien students made her want to disappear. "Look at that one," a voice hissed behind her. Katie turned to see a group of Kryn students, their scales gleaming blue and green under the station lights. They were tall, muscular, with sharp teeth that showed when they smiled. So small, so weak. Why do they even let humans in? Katie kept walking. Her father taught her to ignore bullies. But here, billions of miles from Earth, the bullying felt different. These aliens genuinely believed humans were inferior. To them, it was just a fact. The academy halls were enormous. Everything was built to accommodate species of different sizes. Katie felt tiny walking through corridors designed for beings twice her height. She clutched her bag tighter and followed the signs to the dormitory section. Her room was on level 12. When the door opened, she found her roommate already unpacking. The alien had 4 arms, purple skin, and 3 eyes that all turned to look at Katie at once. "Oh," the alien said, her voice flat. "You are the human." "I'm Katie," she said, trying to smile. "Katie Brooks. I am Vera." The Talaxian returned to unpacking, using all 4 arms to organize her belongings with efficient speed. "I requested a Kryn roommate, or at least a Vexari, but they assigned me a human instead." Katie felt her face get hot. "I'll try not to bother you." "See that you don't." Vera didn't look at her again. Katie unpacked her few belongings in silence. She had one side of the room which felt huge and empty compared to her bedroom back home. When she pulled off her jacket, she caught Vera staring at her back. "What is that marking?" Vera asked. Katie looked over her shoulder. Her tattoo was visible in her tank top, a dragon design that started at her left shoulder blade and curved down her spine, done in black ink with hints of gold. She got it 2 years ago, the day after her 18th birthday. "It's a tattoo," Katie explained. "Body art from Earth. You marked yourself permanently?" Vera's 3 eyes widened. How primitive, Katie bit her tongue. She wanted to say that lots of cultures across Earth valued tattoos, that they meant something important, but she was tired and Vera clearly didn't care. That night, Katie lay in her bunk and wondered if she made a mistake coming here. The academy was supposed to be an honor, a chance for humanity to prove itself among the stars, but so far all she felt was small and unwanted. The next morning, classes began. Katie sat in the back of every room. The instructors were professional, but she caught the doubt in their eyes. When they called on her, they seemed surprised when she knew the answers. Combat training was worse. The gym was a massive space with different sections for different fighting styles. Katie joined the intermediate class, which was already a joke to most students there. They looked at her and laughed. "A human in combat class?" one of the Kryn said loudly. His name was Drax, and he was the biggest of his kind that Katie had seen. What will she do, bore us to death with her weakness? The other students laughed. Even the instructor, a scarred veteran from the Taral species, looked amused. "We pair by skill level," the instructor announced. "Brooks, you will spar with Drax." Katie's heart sank. This was a setup. They wanted to show everyone that humans didn't belong here. Drax stepped into the circle, cracking his knuckles. He was 7 feet tall, covered in scales harder than steel. His claws could tear through metal. Katie had seen the demonstration videos. She stepped in across from him. Her hands were shaking, but she forced them still. "This will be quick," Drax said, his teeth showing in what might have been a smile. "Try not to cry, human." The other students gathered around, placing bets. Katie heard the odds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Some bet she would surrender before the match even started. The instructor raised his hand. "Combat rules apply. First to submit or first blood, begin." Drax moved fast, faster than something his size should move. Katie barely dodged the first strike. His claws passed an inch from her face. She rolled to the side, her training kicking in. Her father was a Marine. He taught her to fight before she could ride a bike. She knew how to move, how to read an opponent. But Drax wasn't human. His center of balance was different. His reach was longer. She blocked a kick and felt the impact rattle her bones. The crowd was laughing now, enjoying the show. Then something strange happened. Katie felt heat spread across her back. right where her tattoo was. Not painful heat, but warmth like standing near a fire. She had felt it before, sometimes when she was stressed or angry, but never this strong. Drax came at her again. This time Katie didn't think. She just moved. Her body flowed around his strike like water. She saw an opening and took it, landing a solid hit to his ribs. The laughing stopped. Drax looked down at where she hit him, then back at her. For the first time, he wasn't smiling. "Lucky shot," he growled. But Katie could feel something changing. The warmth in her back was growing. Her vision seemed sharper. Her body felt lighter. She took her stance again, and this time she didn't feel afraid. Drax attacked with real force now. No more playing around. He was a trained warrior from a species bred for combat. His strikes came in combinations that should have overwhelmed her. Katie moved between them. Block, dodge, redirect. She couldn't match his strength, but she didn't need to. She just needed to not be where his attacks landed. The heat in her back was burning now. Not painful, but intense, like fire running through her veins. For just a moment, Katie's eyes flashed gold. She saw Drax's next move before he made it, saw the shift in his weight, the tension in his muscles. When he threw his hardest punch, Katie was already moving. She redirected his force and swept his leg at the same moment. Drax stumbled. The mighty Kryn warrior actually stumbled. The gym went silent. The instructor stepped forward, his eyes narrow. "Stop, that's enough." Katie stepped back, breathing hard. The heat in her tattoo faded slowly. Drax stood up, his scales flushed dark with embarrassment and rage. "Again," he demanded. "We go again." "No," the instructor said firmly. "Not today. Brooks, good work. Class dismissed." As Katie left the gym, she felt every eye on her. The other students weren't laughing anymore. They were watching her with something else. Confusion, suspicion, maybe a little fear. Vera was waiting outside. "That was unexpected," her roommate said, all three eyes studying Katie carefully. "Humans are not supposed to move like that." "I just got lucky," Katie said, but she didn't believe it herself. That night, lying in her bunk, Katie felt her tattoo with her fingers. The skin was normal temperature now, but she could still remember the burning. She had felt something in that fight. Something that didn't make sense. Something that felt ancient and powerful. Waking up inside her. Outside her window, the stars stretched forever into darkness. Katie didn't know it yet, but somewhere out there, others were waking up too. Others with marks like hers. Others who carried something the galaxy had forgotten. The aliens laughed at the human girl, but they wouldn't laugh for much longer. 3 weeks passed, and Katie's life at the academy changed in ways she never expected. Students still stared at her in the hallways, but now they stepped aside when she walked past. The mockery had turned into something else. Wariness, curiosity. In some cases, respect. Drax avoided her completely. The mighty Kryn warrior who had been so eager to humiliate her now found reasons to be in different parts of the station whenever she was near. His friends whispered when she passed, their scales rippling with colors that indicated confusion. But not everyone was impressed. Some aliens were angry that a human had embarrassed one of their best fighters. Others insisted it was just luck, a fluke that would never happen again. Katie heard the whispers everywhere she went. She found friends among the other humans, at least. Ben Carter was a thin guy from California who could take apart any machine and put it back together better than before. He had nervous energy and talked fast, especially when he was excited about something. Amy Zhang was quieter, studying xenobiology, with an intensity that made even the alien professors notice. She had a sharp mind and sharper questions. They met for lunch in the human section of the cafeteria, a small corner where the food was actually edible by Earth standards. "I've been running scans near you," Ben said one day, pushing his tray aside to show Katie his datapad. "Don't be mad, okay? But something weird is happening." Katie looked at the readings. She didn't understand most of it, but even she could see the energy spikes. "What does this mean?" "I don't know. Energy patterns that shouldn't exist. They come from you, Katie. Especially when you're training or stressed." Ben ran his hand through his hair, making it stand up. "It's not normal. Even for academy students with cybernetic enhancements, this kind of output doesn't make sense." Amy leaned in, her dark eyes intense. "I've been researching. There are old records in the archive, really old, from before most of the current species evolved. References to something called the Drakai. Dragon people? Ben asked. Sort of. The translations are rough. But they were powerful beings, guardians of some kind. The records say they bonded with warriors across different species. Amy pulled up images on her own device. Look at this. Katie stared at the ancient artwork. Beings made of light and fire, taking the forms of massive dragons, and beneath them, warriors from a dozen different species, all marked with glowing symbols that looked a lot like tattoos. That's just mythology, Katie said, but her voice sounded uncertain even to herself. Old stories. Maybe, Amy said, but your tattoo gets hot when you fight. Ben's scans show energy spikes. And you moved. In that match with Drax like someone with 10 years of advanced combat training. Something is happening to you, Katie. Katie touched her back unconsciously. The tattoo had been warm more often lately. Sometimes she woke up in the middle of the night feeling it burn. She had dreams too. Dreams of flying through space, of fire that didn't consume, of a voice speaking in a language she didn't know but somehow understood. In her next combat class, the instructor paired her with different opponents. A Talaxian with 4 arms, a Vexari who could shift between solid and energy forms, a Taural whose skin was harder than stone. Katie held her own against all of them. More than held her own. She won. Each victory felt different. It wasn't just her training or her reflexes. Something else guided her movements. Something that knew how to fight better than she did. The tattoo burned hotter with each match, and each time Katie felt more connected to whatever power was waking inside her. The other students noticed. They stopped placing bets against her. Some even asked to train with her, wanting to understand how a human could move the way she moved. Vera, her roommate, had become almost friendly. "You are not like the reports," said humans would be, Vera admitted one evening while they studied. "Command briefings indicated your species was limited in physical capability, intelligent but fragile." "We're tougher than we look," Katie said, clearly. Vera's 3 eyes studied her. "But it is more than toughness. When you fight, sometimes your eyes change color. Just for a moment. They turn gold." Katie's blood went cold. "What? You have not noticed? It happens when you are pushed hard, when you tap into whatever this power is." Vera tilted her head. "I have been searching the databases. There are gaps in galactic history, entire periods where records are missing or corrupted, almost as if someone wanted certain information erased. Why would anyone do that? That is what I would like to know." In strategy class, Katie found herself solving problems that stumped students who had studied military tactics their entire lives. The simulations put them in impossible scenarios. Enemy forces with superior numbers and technology, planets under siege, fleets cut off from support. Katie saw patterns others missed. She understood instinctively how to move forces, where to strike, when to retreat. The instructor, a stern Vexari named Luminos, watched her with increasing interest. "Brooks," he said after class one day. "Remain behind." Katie waited while the other students filed out. Luminos floated in his energy form, crackling with barely contained power. His kind didn't have faces exactly, but Katie felt his attention on her like a physical weight. "You have potential," Luminos said finally. "More than potential. You have something I have not seen in a very long time." "Sir, tell me about your tattoo." Katie's hand went to her back automatically. "It's just body art. I got it on Earth." "Did you choose the design?" Katie hesitated. She had told everyone she chose it, but that wasn't exactly true. She had walked into the tattoo shop with no idea what she wanted. Then she saw the dragon design on the wall, and something inside her knew with absolute certainty that this was meant for her. "I was drawn to it," she admitted. Luminos pulsed brighter. "As I suspected. You did not choose the mark, Katie Brooks. The mark chose you. I don't understand." "You will. Sooner than you think." The headmaster floated toward the window overlooking the training grounds. The trial of Dominion begins in 2 weeks. It is the most difficult test the Academy offers. Most students train for years before attempting it, but I am entering you in the competition. Katie's stomach dropped. Sir, I have only been here 3 weeks. I'm not ready for something like that. You are more ready than you know. The trial will push you to your limits. It will force you to access the power you carry. Luminos turned back to her. And we will all see what you truly are. That night, Katie couldn't sleep. The trial of Dominion was legendary. Students talked about it in whispers. Only the best of the best attempted it. Many failed. Some died. She got up and walked to the observation deck, needing to clear her head. The stars stretched out forever, beautiful and cold. Earth was somewhere out there, too far away to see. Cannot sleep either? Katie turned to find Drax standing nearby. The Kryn warrior looked different without his training armor. Smaller somehow, though still twice her size. I didn't mean to intrude, Katie said. You did not. Drax was quiet for a moment. I wanted to apologize for the things I said, the way I treated you. Katie blinked in surprise. Oh. I was taught that humans were weak, that your kind did not deserve to be here. His scales shifted colors, a sign of shame in Kryn culture. But you defeated me with honor. You have trained hard and earned respect. I was wrong. Thank you, Katie said softly. I heard Luminos entered you in the trial. That is a great honor, but also very dangerous. Drax looked at her seriously. I will be competing as well. Perhaps we will face each other again. Maybe. If we do, I will not hold back. But I will not underestimate you again either. He nodded once and left. Katie stood alone under the stars. Her tattoo was warm again, a constant heat now that never fully faded. Something was building inside her. Something powerful and ancient and patient. Whatever happened in the trial, Katie knew her life was about to change. The burning had only just begun, and she could feel the flames growing stronger every day. 2 weeks. She had 2 weeks to prepare for a test that would push her further than anything she had ever faced. 2 weeks until the galaxy saw what a human girl with a dragon tattoo could really do. The ground would tremble, but not yet. First, she had to survive. The 2 weeks before the trial of Dominion passed in a blur of training and preparation. Katie pushed herself harder than ever before. Morning runs through the station's gravity chambers, combat drills until her muscles screamed, strategy sessions that lasted late into the night. Ben and Amy helped however they could. Ben built her custom training equipment that could simulate different alien fighting styles. Amy studied the previous trials, identifying patterns and common challenges. They were good friends, and Katie was grateful for them. But she trained mostly alone. The power inside her was growing stronger, and she needed to understand it. Every time she fought, the tattoo burned hotter. Her reflexes got faster, her instincts sharper. She was changing, and she didn't know if that should scare her or excite her. Vera surprised her by offering advice. The Talaxian had competed in the trial last year and made it to the 3rd round. The trial is not just about fighting, Vera explained. It tests everything. Your mind, your courage, your ability to adapt. Many strong warriors fail because they cannot think beyond combat. What should I expect? Katie asked. Expect anything. Expect everything. The trial changes for each group. The arena reads your weaknesses and exploits them. Vera's 3 eyes looked serious. And Katie, students have died in the trial. If you feel you cannot continue, there is no shame in surrendering. Katie nodded, but she knew she wouldn't surrender. Something inside her wouldn't allow it. The burning in her back was constant now, a living heat that never went away. It felt like something was waiting, coiled and ready just beneath her skin. The night before the trial, Katie dreamed again. But this time the dream was clearer. She saw herself flying, not in a ship, but with wings of fire and light. She soared between stars, racing through the cosmic dark. A voice spoke, deep and ancient, rumbling like thunder across the void. Awaken, child of Earth, the time comes soon. They will need you. All of them will need you. Who are you? Katie asked in the dream. You know who I am. You have always known. Katie woke with a gasp. Her room was dark, but her tattoo was glowing. Actually glowing, soft gold light pulsing against her skin. She twisted to look in the mirror and saw the dragon design was moving. The lines shifted and flowed like they were alive. Then the glow faded. The tattoo became normal again. Katie sat on her bunk, heart racing. Whatever was inside her was close to the surface now. One more push, and it would break through completely. The next morning, the trial began. The arena was enormous, a dome that could reshape itself into any environment. Thousands of students gathered to watch. The competitors stood in groups, most of them upperclassmen who had trained for years. Katie was the youngest person competing. The only human. Headmaster Luminos floated above them all, his energy form blazing bright. Welcome to the Trial of Dominion. You will face 5 challenges. Complete all 5 and you earn the right to join the Galactic Defense Corps immediately. Fail, and you wait another year to try again. Some of you will be injured, some may die. This is not a game. This is preparation for real war, the crowd murmured. Katie felt her tattoo pulse with heat. However, Luminos continued, before the trial begins, there is a matter of honor to settle. Katie's stomach dropped. She knew what was coming. Drax stepped forward from the crowd. He wore his full battle armor now, decorated with the marks of his clan. I invoke the right of challenge. Katie Brooks. I challenge you to single combat before the trial begins. The arena exploded with noise. Students shouted and cheered. This was unexpected. The right of challenge was an ancient tradition rarely used. It meant one warrior called out another for a formal duel. Katie stood frozen. She looked up at Luminos, but the headmaster simply watched, his energy form crackling. The challenge has been issued, Luminos announced. Brooks, you may refuse, but you will be removed from the trial. So that was it. Fight Drax now, in front of everyone, or give up her chance at the trial. Katie felt anger rise in her chest. This was a setup. They wanted her to fail. I accept, she said, her voice carrying across the arena. The crowd roared. Katie walked toward the center circle, where Drax waited. He had brought 2 other Kryn with him, both wearing similar armor. Katie's mind raced. This was supposed to be single combat. Why were there 3 of them? The right of challenge allows for seconds, Drax explained, seeing her confusion. If I fall, they continue the fight. Unless you surrender. Katie looked at the 3 massive warriors. Each one was trained from birth to fight. Each one could probably tear her apart. She had no seconds. No backup. She was alone. That is not fair, Vera shouted from the crowd. She has no clan here. Then perhaps humans should not compete, one of Drax's companions said. Katie felt the heat in her tattoo spike. Her vision sharpened. When she spoke, her voice was calm and cold. I don't need seconds. Let's begin. The arena shifted. The smooth floor transformed into rough canyon terrain, with rocks and cliffs and narrow passages. This was the Crucible environment, one of the most dangerous settings. Perfect for ambush tactics. Luminos raised his hand. Combat rules apply. Victory by submission or incapacitation. The challenged may surrender at any time. Begin. Drax and his 2 clan brothers spread out, moving to surround her. They were coordinated using hand signals Katie couldn't read. They had trained together their whole lives. They knew each other's moves perfectly. Katie backed toward a large rock, keeping it at her back so they couldn't surround her completely. Her heart pounded. The tattoo burned so hot she thought her skin might blister. But it didn't hurt. It felt right. The first brother attacked from her left. Katie dodged and countered, landing a solid hit to his jaw. He stumbled back, surprised by her speed. The second brother came from her right. She blocked his strike and swept his legs. He recovered quickly, but she had proven she could fight them. Then Drax entered the fight. He moved like a predator, all grace and power. His strikes were calculated and brutal. Katie defended, barely keeping up. The three of them worked together, never giving her a moment to breathe. One would attack while the others cut off her escape routes. Katie's muscles burned. Sweat poured down her face. The crowd was silent now, watching a human girl hold off 3 Kryn warriors. It shouldn't have been possible. The tattoo erupted. Golden flames burst across Katie's back, crawling up her neck and down her arms. They didn't burn her. They felt like coming home. Her eyes blazed gold, bright enough to make the Kryn shield their faces. The world slowed down. Katie could see everything. Every muscle twitch, every shift in weight, every breath. She could predict their moves before they made them because something ancient inside her had fought battles like this 1,000 times before. She moved, not fast, faster than fast. One moment she was defending, the next she was on the offense. She struck the first brother in the solar plexus with perfect precision. He dropped like a stone. The second brother swung at her, but she flowed around his fist like water and kicked him in the back of the knee. He fell hard. That left Drax. The mighty Kryn warrior stared at her with something that might have been fear. His clan brothers lay groaning on the ground. Katie stood between them, wreathed in golden flames that hurt no one, but looked like the wrath of stars. "What are you?" Drax whispered. Katie didn't answer. She didn't know how to answer. The voice from her dream echoed in her mind, the ancient presence that had been sleeping inside her for so long. "Final chance," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made reality itself shiver. "Surrender." Drax looked at his brothers, looked at the crowd. Then he did something Katie never expected. He got down on one knee and bowed his head. "I surrender," he said clearly. "I was wrong. Humans do not just belong here. You belong at the front of the line." The arena was silent. Not a single person spoke. They all stared at Katie, at the golden fire dancing across her skin, at the dragon tattoo that now seemed to move and breathe on her back. Then the ground trembled, not from the arena systems. This was real. The entire station shook. Alarms began to wail. Emergency lights flashed. Something was wrong. Luminos's voice cut through the chaos. "All students to evacuation stations, defense forces to battle positions. We have incoming." "Incoming what?" someone shouted. The headmaster's energy form pulsed with colors Katie had never seen before. Colors that spoke of ancient fear. Long-range sensors detected it an hour ago, a void ship. The kind we hoped we would never see again. Katie felt the presence inside her surge. The voice spoke again, urgent now. "It has found you. The darkness always finds the light. Now you must truly wake, child of Earth. Now the real fight begins." The golden flames around Katie burned brighter. The trial was over. The real test was just beginning. The station's alarm screamed through every corridor. Students ran in organized chaos toward evacuation points. Defense forces mobilized with weapons that could crack planets. But Katie stood frozen in the arena, staring up at the dome's transparent ceiling where stars glittered against the black. One of those stars was moving. "Growing larger. Katie, we need to go." Ben grabbed her arm, Amy right behind him. The whole station is evacuating, but Katie couldn't move. The burning in her back had become something else. Not pain, not heat. It was like her entire spine was made of lightning and fire. The tattoo pulsed with light so bright it showed through her training shirt. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "Something's coming." "Yeah, a void ship," Ben said urgently. "Which is why we need to leave right now." Amy was staring at Katie's back. Ben looked at her. The tattoo was moving. Katie twisted to see. The dragon design was lifting off her skin. Actually lifting, becoming three-dimensional. The black ink lines glowed gold and red, casting shadows that shouldn't exist. "What's happening to me?" Luminos appeared beside them in a flash of light. "What has been sleeping is finally waking. Brooks, can you stand?" "I think so." "Then come with me. The rest of you evacuate now." The headmaster's voice had no room for argument. Ben and Amy ran, looking back at Katie with worried faces. Luminos led Katie to the command center at the station's heart. Screens filled every wall, showing defense positions and the approaching ship. It was massive, bigger than any vessel Katie had seen. Black metal that seemed to drink the light around it. No markings, no lights, just darkness given shape. "What is that thing?" Katie asked. "A nightmare," said a voice behind her. Katie turned to see Vera, along with Drax and several other senior students. One we thought was extinct. A void ship from the Dark Age. The Dark Age? Katie's head spun. None of her classes covered this. Luminos spoke, his energy form pulsing with grim colors. 10,000 years ago, the galaxy faced extinction. Beings from the space between stars came hunting. They fed on life itself, draining planets until nothing remained but dust. The Drukhai fought them, ancient guardians of cosmic fire who stood against the darkness. Katie's tattoo burned hotter. The Drukhai. Amy found references to them. The Drukhai won the war, but at terrible cost. They were dying, so they made a choice. Luminos turned to face her fully. They scattered their essence across the universe, hiding within the bloodlines of younger species. Waiting. Hoping that when the darkness returned, new guardians would rise. Katie understood even though she didn't want to. Humanity. Earth carries more Drukhai bloodlines than any world we have ever found. Your species is young, but you are descended from ancient fire. That tattoo you wear is not decoration. It is a key, a marker. When it woke, we knew that the darkness might return soon. The void ship was close now, close enough that Katie could see its surface rippling like oil. Something about it made her stomach turn. It felt wrong, dead and hungry at the same time. Our weapons are useless, Vera said quietly, reading the tactical displays. Void ships absorb energy. Every shot we fire makes them stronger. So what do? Drax asked. Luminos looked at Katie. We pray that one awakening is enough. Before Katie could ask what he meant, the void ship opened fire. Not with lasers or missiles, with beams of pure darkness that turned whatever they touched into nothing. 3 of the station's defense platforms simply ceased to exist. The station shook violently. More alarms wailed. Katie heard screams through the walls. Her tattoo exploded with heat, not burning her but burning through her. She gasped as power flooded her veins. Her eyes blazed gold so bright the others had to look away. The dragon on her back became fully real, a being of light and fire that coiled around her like armor. Katie? Vera's voice seemed to come from far away. But Katie wasn't Katie anymore. Or rather, she was more than Katie. She could feel the presence inside her fully now, the ancient guardian that had been sleeping in her blood for 20 years. The Drukhai that chose her family line thousands of years ago. She walked toward the airlock. The others shouted at her to stop, but she didn't hear them. Couldn't hear them. The void ship had to be stopped. That was all that mattered. Open the airlock, Katie said, and her voice carried harmonics that made the walls vibrate. You'll die out there, Luminos said. Even with your awakening, the void is absolute. Nothing survives in raw space. Katie looked back at him, and her eyes were no longer fully human. They were golden and ancient and fierce. I will. She didn't wait for permission. The power inside her reached out and forced the airlock open. Katie stepped into the void. Space should have killed her instantly. No air, no pressure. Temperature that would freeze flesh in seconds, but golden fire wrapped around Katie's body, protecting her. Wings erupted from her back, massive and burning. Not physical wings, wings made of light and cosmic fire. She flew toward the void ship. The ship sensed her, turned its weapons toward this tiny human girl who dared approach. Beams of darkness lanced out, each one capable of erasing a battleship. Katie burned through them. The darkness couldn't touch her. Where void met fire, the fire won. She landed on the ship's hull, and where her feet touched, the dead metal began to glow. Heat spread from her like a star being born. The ship shuddered. Katie placed both hands on the hull and let the fire flow. The Drukhai power inside her was vast, older than most stars. It had fought this darkness before millennia ago, and it remembered how to win. Fire poured through the void ship's structure, burning away the wrongness at its core. The ship screamed, not with sound, with vibrations that made space itself ripple. It tried to flee, tried to return to the darkness between stars where it came from. Katie held on. Her body blazed like a sun now. The dragon tattoo had become her true form, golden scales and wings of fire. She was beautiful and terrible, a guardian awakened after 10,000 years of sleep. The void ship cracked, then shattered. The darkness that powered it dispersed, unable to hold its form against the Drukhai fire. Pieces of dead metal drifted away, harmless now. Katie floated in space, breathing flames that didn't burn. She could see everything from here. The station below battered but intact, The stars beyond, infinite and bright. Earth, somewhere impossibly far away, where others like her were beginning to wake. She flew back to the station, landing in the hangar bay with enough force to crack the floor. The fire around her faded slowly. The wings dissolved into light. Her tattoo returned to its normal form on her back. Katie collapsed. Hands caught her before she hit the ground. Vera and Drax held her up, their faces filled with awe and fear. "You did it," Drax whispered. "You killed a void ship alone." Katie tried to speak, but her throat was raw. Everything hurt. Using that much power had pushed her past any limit she knew existed. Luminos appeared, his energy form pulsing with colors that might have been hope. "She did more than kill one ship," she announced to the darkness that the Drakai have returned, that humanity stands guard now. "Will more ships come?" Amy asked from the doorway, Ben beside her. "Yes," Luminos said simply. "This was a scout. The real invasion will follow." Katie forced herself to stand, though her legs shook. "Then we need to prepare. We need to wake the others. Every human who carries the bloodline needs to know what they are." "Can you do that?" Vera asked. Katie thought about the fire inside her, about the ancient presence that had shown her how to fly between stars, about the other humans out there who had marks like hers, who dreamed of dragons and didn't know why. "I have to," she said, "because the darkness is coming, and when it arrives, humanity will be ready." The ground had trembled. The station bore cracks from the void ship's attack and from Katie's return, but they were still standing, still alive. The human girl they had laughed at had saved them all, and this was only the beginning. Katie woke up 3 days later in the medical bay. Every muscle in her body ached. Her head felt like someone had filled it with static, but she was alive. Ben sat in a chair beside her bed, asleep with his head on the edge of the mattress. Amy was on the other side, reading something on her datapad. When Katie stirred, Amy looked up and smiled. "Hey," Amy said softly. "Welcome back." Ben jerked awake. "Katie, oh thank God." "We thought you might not wake up." "What happened?" Katie's voice was rough. "You saved the entire station, killed a void ship by yourself, then passed out for 3 days. Ben handed her water. "You know, normal stuff." Katie drank, her throat grateful. Memories came flooding back. The fire, the wings, flying through space. It felt like a dream, but she knew it was real. Her tattoo tingled, a constant reminder of what she had become. "How many people saw?" Katie asked. "Everyone," Amy said. "It was broadcast across the entire galactic network. Every species, every world. They all saw a human girl turn into living fire and destroy a void ship." "You're kind of famous now," Katie groaned. That was the last thing she wanted. The door opened and Luminos floated in, his energy form steady and calm. "Katie Brooks, it is good to see you awake. We have much to discuss. Am I in trouble?" "No, you are a hero. But more importantly, you are the first." Luminos dimmed his light, a sign of respect. "The first human to fully awaken the Drakai power in 10,000 years. Others are stirring now. Your awakening has triggered something across your species." Katie sat up slowly. "What do you mean?" Amy pulled up her datapad. "Reports are coming in from Earth. Hundreds of people having strange experiences. Dreams of dragons, marks on their skin that glow, unexplained abilities." She scrolled through the data. "It's happening all over the planet. Whatever you did out there, it woke something in other humans. The Drakai essence recognizes when one of their own fully awakens," Luminos explained. "It sends a signal through the bloodlines. A call to arms. Others who carry the potential are beginning to manifest." "How many?" Katie asked. "We estimate thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Your species is small compared to most in the galaxy, but you carry more Drakai heritage than all other races combined." Katie tried to process this. Thousands of humans with power like hers. Power that could burn through void ships and fly through space. It was hard to imagine. What happens now? "Now we train you. Properly." Luminos pulsed with determination. "The void ship you destroyed was only a scout. The real invasion will come soon. Weeks, maybe months. The darkness has been gathering in the space between galaxies for 10,000 years. When it arrives, it will bring forces we are not prepared to face. So we get ready," Katie said. "Yes. But first, you need to understand what you are. Come. There is something you must see." Luminos led Katie, Ben, and Amy to a restricted section of the station. Guards stepped aside when they saw the headmaster. They entered a chamber filled with ancient artifacts, each one preserved behind energy fields. In the center was a crystal that glowed with soft golden light. Inside the crystal was an image, moving like a hologram but far more detailed. It showed a battle. Dragons made of fire and light fighting against things that hurt to look at, creatures of pure darkness that consumed everything they touched. "This is the only complete record of the last war," Luminos said, when the Drakai made their final stand against the void. Katie watched the battle unfold. The dragons were magnificent, each one the size of a ship. They breathed fire that could ignite stars. Their wings carried them faster than light. But the void creatures were endless. For every one destroyed, 10 more appeared. The Drakai were losing, Luminos continued. They were the galaxy's greatest defenders, but even they could not hold back infinite darkness. So they made a choice. They bonded with younger species, poured their essence into bloodlines that would carry on after them. The image showed dragons touching beings from different worlds. Where they touched, light flowed. The beings changed, becoming something more than they were. The Drakai gave up their physical forms, Luminos said, became part of the younger races. They knew it might take thousands of years for the bloodlines to manifest again, but they trusted that when the darkness returned, new guardians would rise. "And now we have," Katie whispered. "Yes. You are not human anymore, Katie Brooks. Or rather, you are human and something more. You carry the fire of creation itself, the power to stand against the void." Katie looked at the crystal, at the dragons fighting and dying to protect a galaxy they loved. She felt the weight of their sacrifice, the responsibility they had passed down through generations. "I don't know if I'm strong enough," she admitted. "None of them knew either," Luminos said gently, "but they fought anyway. And so will you." Over the next few weeks, everything changed. Katie trained with instructors who finally understood what she could do. She learned to control the fire, to manifest wings without fully transforming, to sense the void energy that meant danger. Other humans arrived at the station, people from Earth who had awakened, confused and scared. Katie helped them understand, showed them they weren't alone. Together they formed the first unit of human Drakai warriors. Ben proved invaluable, designing equipment that could channel Drakai energy. Amy studied the old records, finding techniques the original Guardians used. Even Vera and Drax joined the training, wanting to fight alongside the humans they had once mocked. The Galactic Council met an emergency session. For the first time in history, humans were invited to speak directly to the leadership of every major species. Katie stood before them, representing Earth. Behind her stood 50 other awakened humans, their marks glowing softly. The council chamber was silent as she spoke. "You laughed at us," Katie said, her voice steady. "You called us weak, primitive, barely worthy of acknowledgement. And maybe by your standards we're young. We're new to the stars. We make mistakes." She paused, letting golden light flicker in her eyes. "But we carry something ancient, something your species forgot existed. The Drakai chose humanity to be their heirs, and we accept that responsibility. When the darkness comes, we will stand at the front line, not because we have to, because it's right." The council representatives looked at each other. The Kryn, the Talaxians, the Vexari. Every species that had dismissed humanity now saw them in a new light. "We want to help," said the Kryn ambassador. "Our warriors will fight beside you." "As will ours," said the Talaxian. One by one, every species pledged their support. The galaxy was finally united, brought together by the very species they had mocked. Katie looked out at them and smiled. "Then we have a chance. When the void arrives, it will find us ready. It will find dragons waiting." Later that night, Katie stood at the observation deck with Ben and Amy. Earth was visible in the distance, a blue marble in the black. Somewhere down there, thousands more were waking up, learning what they could do, preparing for the fight to come. "Do you think we'll win?" Ben asked. Katie thought about the fire in her veins, about the dragon that lived in her soul, about all the humans who carried the same power, the same determination. "The Drakai fought for 10,000 years to give us this chance," she said. "We're not going to waste it." Her tattoo pulsed with warmth. Not burning anymore. Just a steady heat that reminded her of home, of purpose, of the ancient guardians who trusted humanity to carry their flame. The ground had trembled when she first awakened. Soon the whole galaxy would tremble, but not with fear, with hope, Because humanity had stopped being the species everyone laughed at. Now they were the ones the darkness should fear. The dragon tattoo burned bright on Katie's back as she looked toward the stars. Somewhere out there, the void was gathering its forces. Let it come. Earth's children would be waiting with fire in their hearts and wings of light ready to fly. They had laughed at the human girl. They would never laugh again.